All right. Good morning. Okay. So thanks for being here and for braving the snow. Thanks for being here online as well. So let's begin let's just begin. So we can take our thumbs and tuck them into our fingers and let our hands rest on our thighs, and you can do this seated or standing, however's comfortable. Just taking a few moments to bring our awareness to the three treasures: the Jing, the Qi, and the Shen, the body, the breath, and the mind. And just spending a little time with each one of those. And we typically begin with the body and the physical sensations of our alignment within gravity, whether it's the sensation of our feet on the ground or our seat on whatever we're sitting on. Feeling the weight of our bones. Feeling the substance of us. And just letting that awareness of our body ground us. Just feeling what's present here and now. And as we settle into the body, the Jing, and as we get more grounded and as things slow down and settle, it may happen automatically that we become more aware of our breath and the movement of our breath. And so just expanding awareness to include that movement, that awareness of the breath, and how the inhalation can help to bring more awareness into our bodies, into our alignment, into areas where we might be holding tension or areas where there's a lot of space. Allowing the exhalation to facilitate relaxation. And as our body helps us to ground into the here and now, the breath helps us to become aware of what's going on not only inside of us, but also around us. That we are a part of something bigger, that there's a here, and there's also a there, a coming and a going. An inhale and an exhale. And just allowing that coming and going to happen. Allowing the rhythm to just be. And as we pay attention to the movement of our breath and the sensation of our bodies, we then may become aware of the focus of our minds and how it's on the breath and the body, or perhaps how it moves somewhere else, which is fine. The invitation is to just notice the mind. Notice that you can also direct the focus of the mind to your breath, to your body, or to something else. You might also notice that the mind goes places that you may not want it to go. Noticing that. And then with intention, if that's what's going on, then directing the mind to the body, to the breath. And again, as the body helps us to ground into the present of here, and the breath helps us to be in relationship to here and there, the mind, the Shen, allows us to be in relationship to everywhere. That limitless expanse of the boundless sky. So these three different aspects of being can be harmonized, integrated. And awareness of these three treasures is the essence of Qigong practice. Awareness of the three treasures, harmonization and integration of the three treasures. And this can be done anytime, anywhere. So as you're ready, we can bring our hands together and let's rub the palms together, generating a little bit of heat in the hands. Heat is energy. Energy is a common translation for Qi, so we're building Qi in our palms. And we'll do an abbreviated self-massage this morning. So we'll take a nice deep breath in together, and then exhale, shake it out. And again, rubbing the palms together. And as you rub your hands together, feel free to massage one hand with the other. There is a microsystem of the whole body on our hands. And so just taking the time to massage the hands. Notice any areas that might feel a little tender, maybe some spots that feel warmer than others or colder than others or more active or less active. And just notice that. Maybe give those spots a little extra attention. If you're interested, you can make note of where that spot is, and then later today you can always Google reflexology and look at a little reflexology chart of the hands and see what that spot corresponds to. And more often than not, it will correspond to something that you already know you have going on. And then again, when you're ready, nice deep breath in. Shake it out. Freshen up the Qi in the hands. And then we'll bring our hands to our faces. And we can massage our face, and you can go up and out, taking your time, and just feel what this feels like. If it doesn't feel good, then adjust how you're doing it. You can go fast or slow, heavy pressure, light pressure, big circles, small circles. If going up and out doesn't feel good, go out and in, try something different. Feel free to explore. It's not about doing it a certain way. It's about doing it and finding what feels good. What do you like? Do what you like. And when you're ready, you can then just bring your fingertips over your scalp. And you can run your fingertips over your scalp, and you can go front to back. You can also go back and forth. You can just stay in one spot. You can just use fingers and scrub. Again, there's not a one way to do it. My only invitation is to just make sure that you explore the whole surface area of your scalp. And any areas, just like we did on our hands, that might feel a little tender or asking for extra attention, give those areas a little extra attention. And notice what happens when you do. Notice the response of your body and your breath and the focus of your mind. And when you're ready, your hands can slide down the back of the neck and then around the base of the neck. The hands can come together and we can press our thumbs into our chests and so slowly draw the hands down over the lower ribs, over the belly, around the waist to the lower back. Draw the hands out, shake them out. Rub the palms together, nice deep breath in. So usually that's like the end of the abbreviated self-massage, but I think I want to do a little bit more for our chest because it didn't feel like we did enough there, so I just want to do a little of the patting, the kind of Tarzan gorilla pat over the chest. And if you need to take one hand across your chest to get out under the collarbone, out near your shoulder, you can do that. And then with both hands, and you can do soft fists, you can make beaks, just patting on either side of the sternum, in between the rib spaces, which tend to be very tender. And so be gentle as you tap. No need to inflict pain upon yourself. But just take your time. Work your way down slowly. This is the upper kidney meridian. And this is the area of the heart. And we're now in the year of the wood horse. No, I'm sorry, the fire horse, coming out of the wood snake. The fire horse. The horse corresponds to the organ of the heart. And the fire element corresponds to the heart. So there's a lot of heart energy in this year. And so just giving some attention to our chest, to our lungs, to our hearts. And with this upper kidney meridian, like drawing the energy of the kidneys from deep in our bodies up into the chest. Harmonizing the heart and the kidneys, the mind and the will. And then we can move back down to our ribs. And another rub to the ribs and to the belly. And around the waist to the lower back and the kidneys. And then again, we'll draw our hands out. Shake them out. And then we can tuck our thumbs back into our fingers. Let the hands rest back on the thighs. And again, just attune, align your body, your posture between heaven and earth. And breathe. Allow the breath to facilitate that connection. Be the conduit between heaven and earth. Feel the breath energy moving through the body, extending down into the earth beneath you, rising up into the boundless sky above you. And our body, our breath, our focused mind, integrating and harmonizing these two poles. And then whenever you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes. Right. Yeah, so it's the year of the fire horse. Chinese, the start of the spring festival was yesterday. So, we tend to call it Chinese New Year in this country just because we have New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And in China, they have what's called the Spring Festival. It's not so much Chinese New Year necessarily, because the New Year in China, the Lunar New Year, begins on the second new moon after the winter solstice every year. So that's why it's different most years. And so we go from the new moon to the full moon. All of that is the Spring Festival. So, you don't have to fit it all in one night, which is nice. You have 2 weeks to kind of celebrate and just be with this newness, this new beginning, and, cleaning out the old, making room for the new, and setting intentions and expressing gratitude and appreciation. Like, that's kind of the Spring Festival. That's the theme. So, I did also want to talk a little bit about the dynamics of this fire horse year. And so, I kind of mentioned already that the fire horse, the horse corresponds to the heart, and fire is the element associated with the heart. And so it's a fire year. And so, that's something, that's significant. It's like very up. And so when we're thinking about the heart, if we're thinking of themes for the year, one might say like a nice theme for the year of the fire horse might be follow your bliss. That's like a very heart-centered kind of thing. And again, if it was a different kind of horse year, like if it was a water horse year, that might be a different theme. It brings a different dynamic to it. But with fire and the horse, it's like, it's very much about forward momentum. It's about initiating things, about getting things started. Like if you have a passion that you've kind of been keeping on the back burner and like, well, I don't know if I should do that. This would be a year to say, you know what? I know what my passion is, and I've always kind of put up my obstacles, or reasons why I shouldn't pursue my passion. Now would be a time to maybe not allow those obstacles to get in the way, to just kind of take that decisive, forward-moving action that helps to facilitate your joy and your love and your expression of your authenticity. Like that's kind of a general theme. So yeah, that's kind of like the big picture. And then I just wanted to kind of talk about it in relationship to the other elements, if that might be helpful. And feel free to, ask any questions or clarification or comments, suggestions. That's fine. So here is the fire element in the cycle of the 5 elements. So, it's up high, it's high noon, it's big in the sky, it's the sun, it's the heart, it's the truth, all of those things. So that's fire. When fire becomes pathological, because ideally we have this cycle that's just moving around and around. And if fire becomes pathological, it's because it just keeps going this direction. It never kind of comes down. And so, we can think about maybe pathological fire showing up, like if it's like, well, I'm going to follow my bliss. I'm going to get in touch with my passions. And then I get so enthusiastic that it's like it's starting to destroy my life because the fire is just raging out of control. And like, there are those people who are very fiery, and when you spend time with them, it's like, whoa, like I need a break from this person because they're just too much. It's like that's the fire that's going too far that way. So, we want to be mindful of that. And one of the things that helps fire to come down, that is this earthy quality. And earth, the virtue of earth is integrity. There's a kind of integrity to earth. And so with our passions, we also need to be in touch with our integrity and with what serves, and not only what we want, but also understanding that we exist within a greater whole. And so how does it fit within the bigger structure of our lives and of our universe and of our communities? Staying grounded, like the earth does. Having our feet on the ground, not allowing the fire to just bring us up into the sky to where we disperse into nothingness, And so that's one piece of it. And then we can think about what helps to fuel a healthy fire. Well, that's the wood element. And some of the qualities that we think about with wood is perspective, is clarity. Like we've talked about springtime and the wood element and having a vision, having something that is going to be like the mission statement or the vision statement for our lives. That's what helps us to get in touch with what our passion is and helps us to move forward, helps us to take that decisive, even assertive kind of action. And one of the virtues of wood is also flexibility. So yeah, we have our passion, we have what we want to do, we want to follow our bliss. And sometimes, like I talked about, the self-imposed obstacles that might just be a limiting belief, but then there may also be actual obstacles that we need to navigate. And so having the flexibility that allows us to be able to work with the obstacles that are presented to us. And rather than, as we all know, the wood and the liver is associated with anger. And so rather than meeting an obstacle with anger and belligerence and like, I'm just going to pound my way through this, we can understand that, like the famous quote from Stoicism, like the obstacle is the path. And so maybe this obstacle is really something that's going to facilitate you getting more in touch with what your passion is and how to express your passion in a way that actually serves the greater whole and the integrity of things, and meeting it with flexibility and openness and curiosity and interest and all of these wood type of qualities as we're moving forward, as we're expressing ourselves, as we're kind of riding our horse. Does that make sense? Okay, great. And then we can think about how fire also has a kind of controlling aspect over the metal element. And so when we think about, so this is, wood creates fire. Fire moves towards earth when it's healthy. Fire also helps to control metal. And so when we're thinking about metal, we can think about metal as a way of, these are like the social norms, like the ethics and the morals and things like this. And so with so much fire, so much passion, we might say like, well, we have this social norm. We might think of that as an obstacle. And it's like, well, I'm just going to do what I want to do because that's my passion. And so I don't care. So this fire will like melt the metal down into nothing. It won't even be there anymore. And so again, that's kind of going too far. So we want to be aware of that tendency of how following our bliss and following our passion, it's not happening within a vacuum. It's happening within this bigger collective. And so understanding that and appreciating that, and so that there can be a healthy balance. We don't want the social norms and the ethics and the morals to smother the fire and say, you can't be who you are because this is how you're supposed to be. That would be an unhealthy relationship going back the other way. But we want the fire to be informed by that and to even help to soften it, and find a way, a creative and loving, compassionate way where we can actually engage with those social norms and morals and ethics and virtues and precepts and things like that. It can actually help everything to be more in balance in that way. Does that make sense? I felt like that maybe got a little abstract. Okay. And then we have another relationship with water going back to fire. And so water helps to control the fire. And so again, water can sometimes be that aspect of, again, just like everybody knows, wood and the liver is associated with anger. Most people know that water is associated with the kidneys and associated with fear. And so too much fear will put your fire out. So again, if you're wanting to follow your bliss, if you're wanting to get in touch with your passions, express your authenticity, but that might be scary. Opening your heart makes you vulnerable. And so we don't want the fears to prevent us from expressing that. And at the same time, water has to do with just that absolute nature of the universe, like the Well, there goes that. The oneness of everything. And so, where fire is a little bit more about us as individuals, like we're this specific consciousness, we're an individual. I have my passion, which might be different than that person's passion. And with water, it's kind of like, well, everything is one. And so again, that's another way that these can balance each other out. We might even say like water is related to wisdom. Like wisdom is that everything is one. Things are impermanent. Things change. It's all going to dissolve back into the ocean eventually. And so that might make us say, well then it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Why care about anything if it's all just going to dissolve back into the ocean? If everything's one, what's the problem? But the thing is that it is one, and it's also very diverse. There's all this independent expression of all of these things. And so we could say if water is wisdom, fire is more like compassion. It is all one, and there are a lot of people who struggle with understanding that, and that's hard. We struggle with it ourselves, right? It's like we know everything is one, but there's still that person that bothers us. It's like, so what's going on there, right? And so can we have compassion? Can we balance out that kind of absolute oneness that's just deep and dark and the ocean and still and quiet and massive and just like, whoa, can we balance that with, and we can bring some warmth into that. The light can penetrate into the depths. There can be some warmth. There can be kindness. There can be love. There can be compassion. And we're not letting our compassion make us actually then others and say, oh, I'm going to be so compassionate. I'm going to go take care of everybody. I'm going to go in and fix that because I know what to do because I'm so loving and compassionate and in touch with my passion and love and bliss and I know it all. Then all of a sudden you forgot that all those others that you're trying to help are really just yourself. And so we're balancing that out within that. So that's a little bit about that. Different elements and how they relate to this fire element and this year of the fire horse. And so again, we want to have clarity. We want to be able to take a decisive action to move forward, to let the fire burn in a healthy way. But we don't want to be inflexible about how that happens. We don't want our clarity to make us rigid, that it has to be a certain way. And as we're expressing our passions and as we're in touch with our bliss, we also want to remain grounded in that and not get so excited and so overjoyous about everything that we start to actually be a problem to other people and like burn them. We're singeing other people with our fire. We want to stay grounded within that. We also want to, I'm just kind of in my train of thought, so now I have to switch gears from earth back into metal. And so, yes, we want not the social norms or conventions to restrict our fire, and at the same time, we don't want our fire to lose sight of those social norms and conventions. We want them to work together so that there can be this kind of softness and this kindness with ourselves, because as we express and follow our passions and explore and get creative, there will be times where we fall short and we make mistakes. And sometimes the metal, like that sword of metal, we do it to ourselves. We can be self-critical. We can be like, well, I tried my passion and it didn't work out the way that I wanted, so I should never do that again in my life because that was wrong. We don't want to do that. We want to allow it to say there is this standard that we're maybe reaching towards, and it's not about achieving the standard. It's about continually reaching towards it and allowing this to be a measuring stick and to continually wake us up and show us how can I refine? Maybe that wasn't perfect, and that's okay. It's never going to be perfect. So how can I use this metric to help me just continue to move towards where I'm going in a good and a healthy way? And again, then we don't want the fear of the unknown as we're opening into something that is so big, like the truth of our hearts, to extinguish our fires either, to make us frozen and not be able to move forward. Okay, so that was kind of 2 times around. And so that's that's that about the fire year or fire horse for now. Any questions or concerns or suggestions, clarifications?
So I'm thinking with this fiery energy, and I look at the earth element, I'm thinking nature would be a good antidote for this fire.
Ah, yes, yeah. So the question online, if you didn't hear it, was just thinking, looking at the earth element, healthy fire moving towards earth, just the benefit of nature. And absolutely. I mean, I feel like, that's the other thing too. Yeah, because fire is very yang and it's very expansive and it can become very abstract. Like even when we're thinking about following our bliss or getting creative, it's like it can become a strictly mental endeavor that we never actually actualize. And so earth is like the actualization of that, and allowing nature to attune us or to ground us, or even, when we're maybe caught up in so much of the ideation or unclear, if we don't have the clarity, going out into nature and just allowing that frequency to be where we're resonating at, I do feel like, I think that's a great tool. And if we are feeling overwhelmed by all that's going on, because fire horse years, a lot can happen very fast according to the dynamics. And so if there's a whole lot of movement that's happening, change, transformation, all of these things, and it's making us feel totally ungrounded and like we're trending up this direction, then go to nature and come to the body and come to the breath and ground into that, center into that. Yes?
It seems very odd to me that water, which is wisdom and understanding the wholeness of existence and the universe, and settling into that knowledge and wisdom, why would it also be fear? That just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And so again, the question online is, with water being associated with wisdom and oneness and all of that, like why is fear also associated with that? Well, because in being into the oneness of everything, part of that requires a sacrifice of the individuality. And that can bring up fear for people. Like I'm going to be one with the universe kind of means you don't exist anymore at all. And so then it's like, whoa, well, what about, so I don't even get to experience that as myself if I'm one with everything? Like that can be frightening. And another word, if, because when I heard this, it was really helpful for me, because often it's translated as fear. I've heard another translation for the word from the Chinese, not fear, but awe. And so there's also a quality of awe that can be kind of almost similar to fear, but it's a little different. It's like, when you're standing on the edge, a cliff edge, and there's that almost desire to want to jump, And it's just because it's so awe, it's so big, you just want to merge, and it's also like, whoa, it's almost overwhelming in that sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. Okay. Anything else? All right. Well, it's snowing in Durango. That is a great blessing. I'm so grateful for that. And so now we can move into our practice, our standing practice for today. And what we're going to practice is 6 sounds therapy. So we'll do some movement for each of these elements, and then we'll do a sound associated with them as well. And then the 6th sound is of the triple warmer, which is kind of like the integration of all of these together. And so we have an opportunity to just tune in to each one of these and all of them together. So we've done this form previously. I've kind of been reworking it in my own practice, so it's a little different than maybe how we've done it before. So just a warning for those of you who are familiar with this, it will be different. And also, I've said this before too, that this 6 sounds therapy is like one of the kind of public domain Qigong forms, like the 8 pieces of brocade and the tendon changing Qigong, Yi Jin Jing. And so over the centuries, different forms sometimes have different sounds for different organs. And so if you're familiar with the 6 sounds being a certain way, and if we do a sound that's different than what you're familiar with, that's okay. So nothing wrong with that. It's just different eras, different centuries had different sounds at different times. And so I'm just going to do the sounds for this particular form the way that I learned them. All right, so we can begin. Straighten this out a little bit. Okay. All right. Yeah, so we can take a moment to just kind of orient ourselves in this new posture. If you need to shake out your feet a little bit or wiggle, and just kind of loosen up. Bouncing and shaking is always a nice way to just kind of get ready. And then as you're ready, when you're ready, however long it takes, just settling into your standing posture. And if standing isn't available to you, you can do this while seated. And so whether you're seated or standing, we'll just take a moment to, again, reorient to the three treasures. And so when I'm getting ready to begin standing, what I like to do is soften my knees, so I bend my knees, sometimes even deeper than I think I need to, so that then I can come out of the deep knee bend into an unlocked knee position that just feels comfortable. I also like to lift my toes up off the ground so that I can feel my big toe mound, my pinky edge of my foot, and the outer edge of my foot, as well as my heel bone. And I always encourage everyone to try and allow more weight to be in the heels than in the balls of the feet. Because when we're in the balls of the feet, we're kind of pitched forward, leaning forward, constantly kind of catching ourselves from falling. And that's a little more activating to the nervous system. It's kind of letting our nervous system know we're on the balls of our feet. We're ready to move. We're ready to run. And what we want to do when we're beginning our Qigong practice is settle into our big, dense heel bones, which are designed to just stand and bear weight. And that gives the message to our nervous system that we're not going anywhere. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. There is no threat. If we were to just root into these big, dense bones, which are designed to hold all of our weight and not go anywhere, that would be fine. We're actually made for that. Like, we're made for moving and running, and we're made for standing and hanging out. So let's just stand and hang out in our heels. If being in your heels feels a little unsteady, I would also encourage you to just gently spread the floor apart with your feet so that you come into that outer edge of the foot. So you have the outer edge and you have your heel, and that's a fairly active kind of posture. Like, it engages your calf muscles. You might feel your thighs engaged a little bit, maybe even the hips. And as you're spreading the floor apart, you might feel the backside of the hips, which tend to be a little compressed, they spread wide. So you have some room for your sacrum. You have some room for all of those nerves that travel from your lower back down through your hips and legs to be free, not compressed. So spreading the floor apart, resting into your heels, soft knees. And if this is a lot of effort, see if you can back off the effort and just maintain this posture. This is work. Gong in Qigong, gong means work. And then just feeling into your pelvis and the bowl of your pelvis. I like the image of the pelvis as a bowl holding a bunch of fruit, which would be your organs. And so is your bowl tilted forward so that all of your organs or your fruit is going to fall out the front? Is it tilted so far back that it's like pushing back? Or is it just nice and balanced? And a lot of time in Qigong and Tai Chi, they say tuck your pelvis. This is not good. I do not like this. we don't want to take the curve out of the lower back. We want a natural curve out of the lower back, or in the lower back, a natural curve. The sacrum comes out, the tailbone is naturally tucking under. And I would say if you want to attune to anything, you might attune to your pubic bone, the center of your pubic bone. That's like, the shelf at the bottom of your pelvis holding things. We don't need to pull that forward. It can just be how it's designed to be. So tuning in to your pelvic bowl, resting in your heels, outer edge of the feet, soft knees. And then with your mind, just following your spine as it rises up out of the pelvis. And I like to think of the spine blooming like a flower into the rib cage, becoming the rib cage. And really feeling the lower aspect of the backside of your rib cage. I think a lot of us are very oriented to this area of our rib cage, like we kind of breathe forward, taking our lower front ribs and sticking them out. And so I would encourage you to think about the sides of the rib cage and the back lower rib cage and breathe into that area. See if you can reach back through those ribs. Doesn't mean that these ribs are pulled back or retracted. We're not doing that. It's just the front is already open for most of us. We're already aware of this area. So bring awareness to where you might not have a lot of awareness. The sides of the rib cage and the lower backside of the rib cage and the space behind your heart, in between your shoulder blades. Like breathe into that area. Allow it to spread wide. It may even make you feel, I'll exaggerate what it might feel like, but it often doesn't look like this. When you breathe into the backside of the rib cage, it almost feels like your shoulders are doing this. But they're often not. You're just spreading them wide. And so just allow that to happen. And as you're exploring this area, if you need to move the shoulder blades and move the arms and just let some of those tight muscles back there wake up and stretch with the breath, do that. But breathing into the backside of the rib cage. Allowing the shoulder blades to be free and to float on the back of the ribs. And as you tune into your shoulder blades, you might also become aware of your collarbones. And so allowing the collarbones to lift and spread. So many of us have collarbones that pull forward and inwards. Like on Zoom, it's like nice big collarbones pull down and in. So we want to come up and out with the collarbones. And we're not squeezing our shoulder blades together. We're just up and wide. And then we can breathe behind the heart, keeping those shoulder blades lifted and spreading. And then from there, we continue on up through the neck to the base of the skull and the backside of the head. And so we're thinking about reaching up and slightly back. Or back and slightly up, like at a 45-degree angle from this base of the skull. Not so much the top of the head, because sometimes when we say top of the head, people will want to lift the chin. And we don't want to do that. We want to come from about here, up and back, so the chin slightly tucks, the back of the neck gets long, and you might feel a stretch down in between your shoulder blades, which you can then breathe into. And again, this is work. And as we're breathing into that space behind the heart, tuning into the lower rib cage, the sides of the rib cage, really trying to create width with our breath, which helps to stretch us up and also helps us to root down through our heels, gently spreading the floor apart. This is a very active, engaged posture. We're just standing still, and it's a total isometric exercise. We're lifting up into the sky through the back of our head, letting the weight settle down through our heels into the earth. And again, spread the floor apart. So your legs are like extending out almost at a 45-degree angle down into the earth as the back and the top of the head reaches up into the sky. So there's this tension pulling you in both directions. Breathe wide into the sides and the back of the rib cage, expanding outwards. So we have yin below and yang above, and in between that we're breathing wide, bringing it all together, connecting everything, turning it on. Qi, life, action, even if we're standing still. And so from this posture, let's soften our knees a little deeper. Let's shift our weight towards the mirrors and inhale the arms up. Step the feet closer together. And then we'll exhale down the front of the body. Let one hand rest on top of the other. The thumbs can come together. And we're in diamond mudra or cosmic mudra, resting our hands in front of the lower dantian. So the elbows are a little bent, so we're not just hanging loose. The elbows are bent so that our hands, like my thumbs, are resting just above my belly button. And my fingers are resting just below my belly button. So really, this little circle I have, my belly button's almost right in the center there. So we're attuning to our lower dantian. And let's begin 6 sounds therapy. So we can take a breath in. As you exhale, soften your knees, let your hands move to the sides, and then we'll step out to the side, the arms float up. And then relax and just let the hands move towards each other. And then inhale, lifting through the elbows, lengthening through the legs, and then exhale, relax. So the first sound, the first element we're working with is the wood element for the liver. And so here we're just creating this buoyancy in the body, this flexibility, like as if we were, a tree with limbs that could move, sway in the wind, bending without breaking. Relax. Inhaling. Exhaling. One more time, we'll inhale. And exhale. And then let your hands float in over your lower rib cage, over the area of your liver organ. And just gently massaging this area of the liver. For most of us, the liver is on the right side of the body. I think it's 1 in every 100,000 people, their organs are reversed. Catherine O'Hara, that actress who died recently, her organs were reversed. But it's safe to assume for most of us our liver is in the lower right rib cage area, but the liver meridian ends in this area on both sides of the body. And so just massaging the liver organ, the liver meridian. If you'd like to visualize the color green, you can do that, softening the liver. End-stage liver disease is cirrhosis, which is a hardening of the liver. So we want the liver to be soft and spongy, relaxed, smooth, moving qi. The sound that will make for the liver is shu, like the shoes that you wear on your feet. And we'll make the sound 3 times. And we make the sound, we get into it like this. So we're going to bring our hands around our waist to the back side of the rib cage. And it's like we're kind of dredging everything up, like dredging through the liver and the gallbladder, all the toxins, and bringing them forward to release. And we take a big breath in and then go shoo. Inhale, exhale. just like we were doing. Breathing in, finding flexibility, movement in all the joints, softness, smooth flowing qi and blood through the whole body. And then we can draw the hands back in, massaging the area of the liver, visualizing the tender green color like new growth in the springtime. It's almost like a blue-green, like the color of peacock feathers or dragon scales. When you taste those new sprouts of leaves growing, they tend to be very sour. So that sour, astringent flavor brings a lot of saliva into your mouth. And then let's bring our hands around our waists to the back and dredge up all of the stuff that we can let go. Take a breath in. Inhale. One more time. Exhale. Breathing here. Feeling soft, flexible, but not flimsy, not no structure. You know, branches in trees, they're not stiff, but they're solid and still flexible. Bring the hands over the lower ribs, massage and nourish your liver. Massaging the end points of the liver meridian, the area around the diaphragm. As we breathe deeply, the diaphragm helps to massage and soften the liver. And then we can bring our hands around our waist. And as we inhale, just dredge everything up. And then let it go. Shaking it out. From here, let's inhale up. The arms are up. And then we can exhale, opening the arms. And if you need to keep your elbows bent or your arms low, that's fine. So inhaling, we're bringing the energy from the liver up into the lungs now. So all this energy in the liver, as we inhale, draw it up into your lung organs. And then exhale. One more time, big breath in. Turn the palms down and exhale. Palms back to back, inhale up. Exhale, open. Inhale. Palms down, exhale. Again, like this, palms back to back, in, out. Breathe back up, inhale. Palms down, exhale. Stretching the lungs, one more time, in and out. In, palms down. This time, exhale, bring your arms around yourself. Give yourself a hug, chin towards your chest, and just bring your breath all the way out. See if you can hold at the bottom of the exhale, and then inhale up. And then exhale again. Change which arm is out in front. Chin towards the chest, bring your breath out, and then again, inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, palms back to back. Big breath in. Exhale, open the arms wide. If it's available to you, you can look up at the sky and just letting your arms hang out to the side. So stretching this space under the collarbones, the upper lungs, the start of the lung meridian, stretching out the arms. If you'd like, turn your head gently towards your mirror hand, reaching through that hand back, and then come to center with your gaze and gently looking over at the window hand. And then coming back to center. And then I'll mirror you, so bring the window hand in, and then the mirror hand in. So we're making beaks with our fingers underneath the collarbones. And we're going to make the sound for the lungs, which is like a zzz with the teeth together. So you get a vibration from the teeth up into your sinuses. We'll do it 3 times. So big breath in. And just breathe naturally a little bit. And I didn't mention, as we make the sound, we can tap these points in the upper lungs, visualizing the open expanse of the clear blue sky. So let's do it again. Inhale. Relaxing, breathing deeply into your lungs, especially the back side of your lungs. The back of the rib cage is known as the breath field, so breathe into the breath field. Feel how much space in the back side of the rib cage there is to breathe. So much more room than we think we might have. One more time, big breath in. Again, just breathing into the backside of the rib cage, breathing into the lungs. From here, just send your hands out in front and then bring your palms together. Let the hands float back in front of the heart. So all of this chi that's buzzing in the backside of the rib cage, in the lungs, with our intention, we can invite that energy into the center of our chest, into our hearts. We can visualize the fiery red color of the heart. We can visualize our hands like a red lotus flower ready to bloom. Breathing into our hearts, visualizing the red color, visualizing a red lotus. We can send the hands up overhead and stretch. And then let the hands float back down so the base of the wrists are just touching the top of the head, the crown chakra. And here, if it's available to you, keeping the base of the wrists together, see if you can stretch open through the fingers like a lotus flower blooming. And then with your middle fingers, you can touch your crown chakra. And then the palms together again. Send the hands up. And then crossing at the wrists, gently let the hands float down either side of the sternum, tracing down, uncrossing over the waist, and then just digging down just a couple inches, bring the hands out in front, and then the fingertips come towards you, the palms are back to back, and we reach up, leading with the pinkies up overhead, then again, crossing at the wrists, the hands come down. I'm going to get closer for those on Zoom. So hands coming down, uncrossing at the hips. We dig in just a little bit. The hands float out. Let the fingertips come in. Palms back to back. Lead with the pinkies and stretch the heart meridian. And let's do that again. So cross at the wrists, hands come down. Just breathing naturally, drawing the hands down the front of the body. Uncross at the waist, just digging in a couple inches, and then hands float out. The fingers come in, palms back to back, like we're diving down, and then reaching up towards the sky, stretching. 2 more, because this is a really nice stretch. Hands float down. Uncross, dig. Coming up, fingers come in, palms back to back. Lead with your pinkies as you reach up and stretch. 1 more time. Down the front of the body, breathing natural. Uncross, dig in. Fingertips come in towards you, palms back to back. Lead with the pinky edge of the hands as you stretch. And then bring the palms together and just let the hands float down the front of the body, coming to rest in front of the heart. So now we'll make the healing sound for the heart, which is ka. And it really becomes like an when we say ka. And as we make the sound, we're going to allow this lotus flower to bloom open. We bring our wrists, our forearms together, which helps to stretch the space in between our shoulder blades behind our heart. 3 times. Inhale. Take your middle fingers and touch your heart center. Breathe. Palms together. Visualizing the heart. Visualizing this red lotus flower blooming. Feeling the vibration of the sound in your heart as you make the healing sound. We'll take a breath in. Massaging the heart. Remembering to let the forearms come together all the way to the elbows to really stretch the space on the backside of the body behind the heart, stretching the small intestine meridian, the paired meridian of the heart. 1 more time, palms together, visualizing the red lotus blooming as we make the sound. Inhale. Massaging the heart center, palms together, breathing. With our intention, you can visualize this energy in the heart sinking down, straight down beneath the heart is the kidneys. And so just allowing this energy, you can keep your hands where they are, but allowing the energy to move down into the kidneys. Visualizing your kidney organs, which are a deep, dark color, like a dark purple, dark blue, almost inky black, indigo. the color of the ocean at night. The deepest, darkest color of blood you can imagine. Breathing into the backside of the lower rib cage, connecting with the kidneys. From here, we can send our hands back up. We can again cross at the wrists, let the hands float down, and then tracing the kidney meridian under the collarbones from either side of the sternum, tracing down, uncrossing at the hips, and then from here, we'll go down, just go down as far as is comfortable. Some of you may be able to go further than I can go, some of you may not go as far. So we're going to send our hips down the inner thighs by sending our hands down the inner thighs by sending the hips back. As the hands come down, the knees bend, and you may want to just hang out at your knees here, and this is fine. If you're hanging out here, just be mindful. You can lift your toes, let your weight be more in your heels than in the balls of the feet. Let the hips be moving back. That's what we want to go for. If you've got more for yourself, you can just sink down to the feet. So we're doing like a little squat. However, the hips are not deep below the knees. The hips can be about the level of the knees. So we've got like a tabletop with our back. Hands on the feet. So wherever you are is fine. What we're going to do now is drink like a turtle. So we're going to inhale and lift our chin, and then exhale, reach with the chin and bring it down to the chest, like we're a turtle drinking water, and then inhale, roll up, exhale, in, out, in, out. Your hips may sink as you do this, that's fine. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. In. Out. From here, let your weight be in your heels. Press through your heels so your hips come up first. Use your hands to press into your shins, lifting yourself up. Drawing the hands up to the lower dantian. Breathing. From here, we can bring our hands around our waist to the area of the lower back and the kidneys, and the hands can rest there. Now, this water element kidney movement is a little challenging because the kidneys are associated with the will, so it tests our will. So, I'll mirror you. We'll shift our weight towards the windows. Inhale the mirror knee up just as high as is comfortable. If you need to keep the toe on the ground, that's fine. If you can inhale it up, inhale. Exhale, point. Inhale back up. Exhale, press through your heel. Inhale and down. And again, you can keep the toes on the ground, so you can inhale the knee up just this high, and then exhale, point with the toe on the ground. Inhale in, and then exhale so that the heel can be on the ground. Inhale back in, and relax. Now we're going to inhale up, open to the side, exhale, point, in, and out through the heel, in, back to center, and down. Other side, we inhale up, open, exhale, point, in, out through the heel, in, back to center, and down. We'll do that again to the front. Inhale, exhale, point, in, exhale through the heel, in and down. Other side, inhale, exhale, point, in, out through the heel, in and down. Now we inhale, open out to the side, exhale, point. In, exhale through the heel. In and down. Other side, inhale up, open, exhale, point. Inhale, exhale through the heel, inhale and down. It's work. Now let's bring our hands around to the front. We can have soft fists if you'd like, so thumbs inside the fingers. And we're going to stretch a little bit. So let's inhale here, I'll mirror you. Exhale, mirror hand goes out. As you inhale, turn the palm all the way around. And then exhale like you're pulling something in. As you pull it in, the other hand comes out, and then you inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more each side. In. Out. In. Out. Now we go side to side. Again, I'll mirror you and take your time. So we shift the weight so we can pivot this foot. And then we extend the arm and inhale as we twist. And then exhale. Shift. Inhale. Twist the palm up. Exhale. Shift. In. Out. In. Out. One more on each side. In. Out. In. Like you're grabbing onto a rope, and then exhale. Back to center. Breathing natural. Now we'll make the healing sound for the kidneys, which is chway. And I've heard it described as almost like a didgeridoo sound, which I think I really like. Or if you ever heard that like throat singing, you know, that kind of like chway. It's kind of cool. So feel that vibration in your bones, in your kidneys. So, like this, we'll inhale the arms out. Exhale the arms down. They can cross, and then inhale up. Tuck your thumbs in your fingers, hinge your hips back slightly, and say, Chway. Hands to the lower dantian, breathe. So when we're doing that posture, the hips are back, the weight is in the heels, so you should be able to lift your toes. The arms are out to the side, and we're reaching back through the back of the head, so we have a strong back. We're not rounded forward, we're strong, like almost reaching back, not squeezing the shoulder blades together, but just out, strong, back through the neck. Strong bladder meridian, kidney and urinary bladder. Again, inhale. Exhale. Crossing at the arms, big inhale. Thumbs tuck in and chway. To the lower dantian and breathe. Feel the backside of your body. Feel your bones. The bones of your arms, the bones of your feet, the bones of your butt, your spine, your skull. Feel how much strength you have. Our capacity to deal with life is bigger than we often think it is. Big breath in. Exhale. Crossing out the arms. Inhale. Thumbs tuck in. Hips back. Breathing. We can bring our hands around to our lower back and our kidneys, nourishing our kidneys. And then from here, we can draw our hands around the base of the ribs, and then bringing the hands to the area of the solar plexus, the third chakra, in between the base of the sternum and the belly button, the area related to the digestive organs, the spleen, stomach, pancreas. Visualizing the golden yellow color of the third chakra, the golden yellow color of our digestive organs, our center. And then from here, we can inhale the arms out and up, step the feet a little closer together, palms together, and then the hands can float down to the level of the heart. We'll take a breath in here. I'll mirror you as we exhale. Send your hands out towards the mirrors. The hips go the other way, fingers facing up. As you inhale, flatten the hands out, draw the hands to center. Fingertips come up and then press the other way. Inhale. Exhale. Hips moving to the opposite side of the hands. Breathing in and out. This movement is called swimming dragon. So imagine like your whole body is like a dragon just winding itself through space. The dragon is the animal associated with the stomach. In Chinese medicine, the stomach means the whole alimentary canal from the mouth to the anus. And it moves like this through our body, from one side to the other, a gentle undulation, peristalsis, moving everything through. The next inhale, come to center. You can step your feet out a little bit wider. Inhale the hands up. And then like shovels with your hand, exhale down the front of the body. Breathe natural. Hips go back. Squatting, not too deep. And then leading with the thumbs and the index fingers. Inhale up. Dig in. Exhale. Sitting back in the heels, inhale. Dig in, exhale. In, out. So dig in, that's what we say when we're going to eat. So inhale and ingest. Process your life. 2 more. In. Last one. Inhale up. Digging in and exhale. This time when the hands come down, like you're gathering something up and press through your heels, bring it to your belly. Massage your solar plexus, your digestive organs. And we'll make the healing sound for the spleen and the stomach and the pancreas, which is whoo. And as we make the sound, you can make these circles, and if you'd like, you can kind of bounce on your heels, like we're kind of pushing stuff through, down through our digestive system. And you don't have to bounce if bouncing doesn't feel good. Visualizing the golden yellow color, feeling the vibration of the sound deep in our digestive organs. Inhale. Breathing. Visualize the golden yellow color. Feel your third chakra, the center of our power. Big breath in. Breathing natural. And again, this golden yellow color, you can even visualize a golden yellow dragon, the spirit animal of the digestive organs. The third chakra, again, it's no wonder that the dragon is the symbol of the digestive organs, of the third chakra, of our power center, our ability to encounter whatever life has to offer. And we can take it in, we can transform it into nourishment. Use whatever we encounter to build chi and blood so we can continue to move through the universe. One more time. Big breath in. From here, you can let your hands come to your sides, your feet can stay where they are, and with your intention, allow this energy from the digestive organs, the third chakra, to begin to expand, to include the whole torso, all of the organs. Allow it to continue to expand, to include your whole body. Allow it to extend out beyond you, into the universe around you, earth below you. Inhale your arms out to the sides, and then we'll bring them in so the window hand is underneath, the mirror hand is above, palms facing each other. And now what we're
I
going to...
think so. Rose is being a little rosy on me, but Becky is totally on it.
So, from here, as we inhale, we're going to bring the lower hand up above. The upper hand's going to press down. The palms are going to stay oriented how they are, which means this lower hand is going to have to rotate. So we'll go slow. So a nice inhalation. Palm up and palm down. Look over the open shoulder and stretch. And then exhale, turn the palms towards each other. Let the hands float down towards each other. Other side, inhale, stretch. Looking over the open shoulder, stretch into the outer reaches of the universe, and then exhale. When you're ready, inhale. Stretch. Again. Exhale. One more on each side. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. We can step our feet a little closer together, and now the healing sound for the triple warmer is she. So first we do this though. Let's inhale up overhead. We're going to make a big open circle for the heavens. And then inhale, circle in the middle for all of life. And then inhale, a circle down low for the earth. Bring the hands over the lower dantian, and we'll make the healing sound. Inhale, sway side to side. Breathing. Again, hands up, inhaling for the upper dantian, for universal wisdom, and the middle dantian for universal love, and the lower dantian for universal vitality. Inhale. One more time, hands coming up. Making a circle for the heart and the lungs. And a circle for the spleen, stomach, pancreas, liver, gallbladder. And for the kidneys and the urinary bladder and the intestines, reproductive organs. Inhale. Just drifting for a few moments. Feeling the qi of all of the organs, all of the tissues integrated within your body. Feeling you, yourself, integrated with the environment around you, with the universe. Exchanging qi as you inhale into every cell of your body, and as you exhale out through every cell of your body. Always full, always empty, just a constant flow. A constant exchange, a constant relationship that is harmonious and balanced. Let's relax our hands, soften the knees. Inhale, out and up, stepping the feet a little closer together. Exhale down the front of the body, hands coming into diamond mudra. And then we can relax. We can rub our palms together. Gently massage your face a couple times. And back and forth over the scalp a couple times. Down the back of the neck and around. Palms together as we trace down over our chest to the lower ribs and abdomen, and around the waist to the lower back. Draw the hands out. Shake them out. Let's pat up one arm, up the outside, and down the inside. Up the other arm, and down. And then around and down the back of the legs, up the front, and around and down. Back up. All right. Great. That's 6 sounds therapy. We'll probably do it a couple more times before we move on to something else. Okay. So thank you so much for being here. Please continue to enjoy the Spring Festival. Get in touch with what makes you come alive, what makes you feel passionate and enthusiastic. Feel what that is. It doesn't have to be a thing, you know. It can be just more of, I like the idea of like a principle, you know, like what is it? Like, you know, I mean, gratitude tends to be pretty good for just kind of feeling into that and how that can be expressed, you know. How can we live in a good way that just feels true and that feels like it's coming from our hearts? And when we encounter obstacles to that, how do we respond? You know, this is a great year to consider that. We've talked before about the 9 heart palaces, which, if you want to know what the 9 heart palaces are, just Google feng shui and look at the graph. It's 9 blocks of different areas of your living space that correspond to different things like reputation and relationship and creativity and work and travel and abundance and things like this. Look at each one of those. What do you feel repulsed by? What do you want to move away from? What do you want to lean into? Either one of those is a sign that that is a heart pain or a heart palace that's worth exploring, that's worth deepening into just in your own contemplation. You know, not about getting an answer, just about feeling that, being with that. So this is a great time to do that so that you can get more in touch with, yeah, what brings me more joy? What would bring me more joy if I wasn't so afraid of it? Why am I so afraid of it? You know, things like that. Or if it's just so clear, this is what it is, and that's what I want to do, please do that. Okay, enough about that. Thank you so much. Have a great week. And I plan on being here next week, so if you're here, I will see you then. All right. And thank you all for practicing with me.
It was awesome.
Thank you. And if you'd like a recording of the class, just send me an email, and I will send you the link once I have it all together. Okay. Thank you so much. Have a great week.
Yeah.